in a world full of negative people. Hey man, I'm just trying to be a positive guy, a positive farmer, a positive outfitter. This is the Shark Farmer Podcast with your host, Rob Sharkey. Whatever.
And welcome again to the Shark Farmer Podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Rob Sharkey, and today we're going to go down south, about as south as you can get in the good old US of A, down in Texas. Today we're going to be talking to Michelle Martin. How you doing, Michelle?
Peachy. How are you, Rob?
Peachy? Is that a Texas thing?
I don't know. It's a Michelle term. Who knows?
Now, what part of Texas are you from?
So I live in the Rio Grande Valley, which is about, like you said, as far south as you can go, 7 miles from the Mexican border.
Okay, so you're right down there. Yes, I can't wait to get to hear all about this. But, you know, Michelle, sometimes when you sign stuff and you're like, I just want to get it signed, I just want to get the deal done, and then you don't think about, oh, that many ads, huh? You ever done something like that?
Yeah, I have a TV show. Know all about ads.
Yes. Speaking of shows, today the Shark Farmer Podcast is brought to you by Shark Farmer TV, shown on the RFD network. And now we're putting them up on YouTube. Yeah, I've got like 200 subscribers on the YouTube channel already. I'm so thrilled. Isn't that impressive, Michelle?
That's so impressive. Maybe you can help me out with my YouTube channel. Maybe you can get me more.
I don't think I'm the person that's going to get you much exposure on YouTube. But hey, you got to start somewhere, right?
That's right. Everyone has to start somewhere.
Yes, Shark Farmer Television, Shark Farmer TV. It's embarrassing. I don't even know what my own show is called, but we're just going to roll with it. It's every Tuesday. That's 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. I think it's around 4 o'clock Texas. I'm not sure how the whole metric system works, but it shows clips and videos and highlights people in agriculture, people like yourself. In fact, that's kind of how I met you. Remember that?
That is. I do remember that. It feels like it was just yesterday.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about TV, right? It was done so long ago. I mean, I'm used to podcast where it's just so instant and all this stuff. TV, I mean, man, you gotta wait for that stuff to get done.
All the lovely editing.
Yeah. I like your show.
It's a good time. Thanks.
Yeah, it's Ag on Wheels.
That's right. It is Ag on Wheels, and it's fairly new, but we're rocking and we're rolling.
Yeah, I don't know how you got your show mentioned in my ad, but hey, we'll just roll with that, right?
Thanks.
Yes, and tonight will be another episode if you want to watch it. We've got, I think a guy you know is going to be one of the main Skype interviews. It's that Ryan Volk, the California farmer.
Oh, yes, Ryan. He's one of my favorite accounts.
Really?
On Instagram. Yeah, I think he's fun. He's funny to watch.
Ryan Volk, the almond farmer, that guy?
Yeah, that guy. He's fun. Actually did a music video with me, one of my little parodies that I tend to do on Sundays. He did a great job.
And honestly, it says a lot about you, Michelle.
Oh, no. You want me to retract my statement?
Also, Taryn Pfeiffer, she does Calvet Fridays on Facebook. Those are really good, too. Just go watch a show, please. And if you know people that want to sponsor it, you know, John Deere sponsoring it. I mean, you talk about nailing down the big dog, right?
Wow. Maybe you can give me some pointers on that one, too. I mean, they're in my magazine, but not my show.
Well, I'll talk to Mr. Deere.
Okay.
Next time I never see him.
All right. Sounds great.
Okay. Tonight, 8:30 Central. And again, on Saturdays at 1:30 in the afternoon Central Time. Plus, the first episodes are... You can't put a full episode on your YouTube because Dish Network and Direct, I think they're mob-owned, and they said they would break my legs if I did that.
Oh, well, that's not good.
No, it's not. But we'll just get more episodes. Shark Farmer TV, Shark Farmer Television, whatever the hell. It's fun, right? Go watch it. So, Michelle Martin, you're down there in the deep, deep state of Texas. You're doing some incredible things for agriculture. I guess the first question I have is, I mean, you were not a farm girl, were you?
Growing up, I was not a farm girl.
Okay.
My grandparents own land, and they lease to a farmer who is a big farmer down here who grows for Gerber. But as a family, never grew up on the farm.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we're going to get into all that. But I've known you for a while. I'm going to say this. You're probably one of the more driven people I've ever ran across. Is that a fair statement?
I get that a lot. You're not the first person to tell me that. And I've also been told I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I just never stop.
I mean, I
That's
like the
true.
Energizer Bunny, so I guess I wouldn't compare that to you. But anyway, I mean, you're very, very driven.
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's learn how that happened. So give us some background. I mean, let's start with little Michelle.
I never used to really tell my story. Growing up, I was kind of maybe ashamed of it. But the older that I got and, the more I grew into my own skin, the more I realized how it made me into the person that I am today. So growing up, I grew up with a single parent. My mother owned a restaurant for 27 years. So I grew up pretty much watching my mom be driven herself and to hold a really successful business. Her restaurant was one of the better known ones here in the Rio Grande Valley. So that's what I grew up doing, is waiting tables, bussing tables, being a cashier. My real father, I never had a relationship with. Lord have mercy, people are probably going to be in shock when I say this, but I had 5 stepdads growing up. Definitely not your ideal childhood, but wasn't the worst either. My mom took wonderful care of me. Once I graduated high school, I ended up going to Texas A&M.
All right, so you grew up in the restaurant business. So you were a waitress? I mean, to me, that fascinates me because, I mean, you go to a restaurant and these are the people that are in your life for a little bit. But I always thought that would be an incredibly challenging job because, honestly, people are kind of jerks.
Yeah, they can be, but it's a great job to have because you learn how to deal with all different types of people and keep your cool. You have to, right? You're serving them. So you learn different personalities and how to handle different types of people. I think that it's actually, helped me progress later on in my life.
Yeah, I could see that. I worked at Walmart. I got fired at Walmart. Hey, it is what it is. But it changed me because people would come there and they would ask you for something that was not possible. And when you told them that, I mean, they were asses to you and for no other reason. And, that has changed my thinking, the way that I interact with people like at stores and restaurants and that, just because I've been on the other side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you learn how to deal with some pretty difficult people. That's putting it in a nice way.
Yeah. Okay. So you go to Texas A&M and then what?
All right. So Texas A&M, my first year in college, my mother said, your job is school. You are not to get a job. I said, all right. So I went behind her back and got a job because that's what I grew up doing. I grew up working. So I actually worked at the Outback waiting tables, and my mom found out about it.
Like the Outback, like the Bloomin' Onion Outback?
Yeah, like the Outback Steakhouse back in the day.
Okay.
Yes. I wouldn't answer my phone one day. So my mom called my roommate, and my roommate ratted me out and told her that I was working at the Outback. So my mother, being the driven person she is, drove herself all the way to College Station, which is about 7 hours from, the valley, and walked into the Outback the next day and made my boss fire me in front of everyone. Oh. And then she proceeded to take my car away from me so I couldn't get anywhere except for school because at the time I lived on campus.
Okay, but I kind of, now my son does work, but, it was always a deal where if the grades weren't, what he was supposed to do, it's probably different with my son because he needs to stay busy because he's just that way. Your mom was just wanting to make sure that school was your priority then?
That is correct. She was very focused on me doing well in school so I could do well in the future. I'm assuming that was her theory, her logic.
But probably at the time when you're getting fired in front of your coworkers, you probably weren't realizing that.
Yeah, no, definitely was not. Was extremely embarrassed, and I'm a pretty difficult person to embarrass, but I was embarrassed, very much so.
Sure, yeah.
So she left with my vehicle. The next day, I took public transportation and got myself another job at Buffalo Wild Wings, waiting tables.
Okay.
Which actually ended up working out for the better because, let's fast forward a little bit. My sophomore year, one day I get a call from my mother, and she said, Michelle, I've lost my business. You can come home and live at home, or you can stay up there at A&M. But if you choose to stay up there, you are fully 100% responsible for all bills, including your tuition.
Oh, okay. Whoa. Now, you said the restaurant was, 27 years?
Yeah, she owned a restaurant for 27 years.
Okay, so this was probably a pretty huge deal.
Yeah, the restaurant was her baby. Even before me, she had the restaurant. that was her life. That's everything that she had known. And so for her to lose it was a pretty monumental event in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine how difficult it was for her to call and tell me, because all my life she's strove to take care of me. Everything that I had, she worked for me. And I think that's how she kind of demonstrated her love to me as well, was through monetary things. So when she wasn't able to provide for me anymore, I think it kind of hurt her. Mm-hmm. So luckily I had the job, and I continued to pay my way through college, waiting tables and bartending. When my mother lost her restaurant, it was a horrific event for her. She began to become an alcoholic. So I had that on my plate now. So not only did I have to pay for my school, but now I was having to tend to a sick mother, which is pretty difficult. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Especially at someone my age.
Especially when you're trying to balance all that other stuff too. Yeah, I could only imagine.
Yeah, definitely a life-altering event for me. Not to say that I didn't have fun in college, because I definitely did, but my focus was a little different than most kids in college. Mine was, let's meet all the bills and get out. I just wanted to get out of college and start a life of my own, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And be closer to home so I could help my mom. So I stayed at A&M for 5 years and waited tables. And since I paid my way through, I like to say I took a victory lap. Because most kids get out in 4 years. It took me 5. But hey,
no,
I had fun.
I'm not going to tell you how many years it took me.
I'm going to go ahead and guess like 9. I don't know.
I think I'm still going. But you did.
I wouldn't air that, Rob.
Yeah, believe me, you cannot embarrass me at this point. All right, so what you get a degree in?
Agricultural leadership and development with a minor in business. And I had accumulated my minor because I had switched my major so many times that I decided, hey, I have a minor in business and didn't even know it, really.
Well, that works.
Worked out.
What did we do after school then?
So after school, I moved back home. Actually, I had met my husband already right after graduation at A&M. And
where did we meet him at?
So we met him at Buffalo Wild Wings.
That's awesome. Were you the waitress?
I was not, actually.
Okay.
I was off of work that day, but my friend was dating his friend. And so they decided, hey, Michelle, you need to come out with us. We have a friend we want you to meet. And that's where I met him. And the most amazing thing is that he sat almost directly in front of me at graduation. I have a picture of me staring at his head. We graduated with the same major, and we worked 3 doors down from one another, and we lived 1 mile from each other and never ran into each other.
Oh, wow. You know what? What we've learned doing this podcast over the last 208 weeks is that you cannot deny love.
You cannot. That is correct.
I met him down in Texas, and I mean, great guy.
Yeah, you did. That's right. At the Commodity Classic,
Yep.
You did meet him and my son.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lucky you.
Cute.
Well, thank you. He looks like his mom. I know.
Okay. Anyway.
I'm just kidding. My husband's going to kill me for that. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll edit that out. Emily, don't edit that out.
So where were we?
You moved back home. You were taking care of your mom, and you had met your future husband at that point.
So he had actually gotten a job down here in the Rio Grande Valley because he knew that's where I was from. So he lived down here for about 6 months to a year before I eventually made the haul down. I stayed up and waited tables for a little bit longer to save some more money, moved back down. Then I started working for a news station as an assistant producer.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to be a news anchor, but the general manager told me that I did not have the voice nor the look for TV, and so she put me in a assistant production slot, and that's what I did. So I edited videos.
Okay.
All day long.
Whoa. All right. I mean, this is a podcast. All right. I mean, you're attractive. We can hear your voice. There's nothing wrong with that. Was it a deal where the boss just didn't like you?
That's exactly what it was. I think that's kind of what it boiled down to. That's what I tell myself.
It was that weather girl, wasn't it?
How'd you know?
Because every TV station, everywhere in the local media, that's pretty much the way it goes.
Yeah. And so, I just realized this is just not the job for me. And in all honesty, I was going in like at noon, and I wasn't leaving till late at night and getting paid minimum wage. And the hours were just so erratic. So if there was ever a big event or something, I would have to get called into work. And at the time, being 23, still in that stage where I wanted to be with my friends all the time and work wasn't a major priority.
Sure.
I quit that job. I actually went to work for a citrus company, which is now, they were bought out by Wonderful Citrus. So they're the ones that make your like Fiji water, your halos, all that good stuff.
Gotcha.
Pistachio almonds. So I worked for them before they were Wonderful for about a year. And then they sold out. And that's when I moved to go work for a private school and a church and a childcare for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I've had quite the journey.
Now, were you married yet?
No, I was married when I went over to this school, yes. I got married while I was working there, about
Gotcha.
the second year.
Okay.
And so worked there, became very unhappy, was just very mundane. I was their marketing specialist, so I had redone their website, redone all their marketing, and just kind of felt like my job was done there. So I found myself going into work every day and Facebooking. At the time, Facebook was cool. I guess it's not anymore. It's all about the gram.
I'm not sure it ever was, but continue.
I wasn't challenging myself. And like I said, I'm the type of person that needs to be engaged and challenged. And one day I kind of prayed about it. And I always say, I mean, I know there's non-religious people out there, but I'm religious. And I said, you know, God gave me the idea for the magazine and I prayed on it. And I walked into my boss's office and I said, I quit. And he said, oh, you do? And I said, yeah. He said, well, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? I said, I'm going to start a farming magazine. And he said, okay, good luck with that. So I left and I had $200 in my bank account at the time, came home and told my husband, and let's just say he wasn't the happiest.
Okay. I kind of see his side on this one, but please continue.
He knows what he married. I made a fake magazine. I call it a mock magazine.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of printed some articles off of Google and gotten some ads off of other magazines, threw it to my graphic designer that I used to work with at the citrus company. And I said, hey, I'm going to start this project. You want to join along? Will you make this, mock magazine? Hands down, he was right by my side. His name's Al. He's the backbone to the magazine.
It's Ag Mag magazine, right?
That's right.
Is it mainly in Texas?
Yes. So when I started it, it was directly for the Rio Grande Valley because we didn't have anything like that. So I kind of found a niche. Now, we used to, but it stopped. And so there was no publication at all for my area. So that's when I kind of was like, well, I'm going to go for it. My husband drove me to all the local agricultural businesses here in the valley. And I said, this is what it's going to look like. And I had my little mock magazine. And I said, will you invest in me? Will you buy an ad? And when I first started, I had four ads.
Mm-hmm.
And 7 years later, I have about 50 to 60, depending on the season.
Okay, I know a little bit about magazines, right? Getting people, especially ag companies, to say, all right, we're going to go into magazines isn't easy. How did you go about getting that filled out?
My husband was a huge help. My husband works in the agricultural field. He's a farmer, and then he also works for Helena Chemical, and he just kind of connected me with the right people, and it just grew from there. By the second one, I had your major companies calling me, hey, we want to advertise this magazine. We really like it, and we think that it's a great magazine for your area. We want to be part of it. It's been such a blessing from the big man upstairs because they just kept coming. It was almost like the search stopped. They just started coming to me, and that was amazing. That was a huge blessing.
Very cool. And it's a very good magazine. You've sent me a copy of it, which I appreciate. So, I mean, you've got a magazine. You've figured it out all on your own.
That's right. We'll hit 7 years when it comes to September. But about my third year, I'm finally feeling good, feeling like I'm in my own skin, and feeling like where I'm supposed to be. And then yet again, another curveball comes my way. When I was 16 weeks pregnant, my mother was admitted to the hospital. And so I sat there with her every day for a month. And if you know anything about a woman being pregnant, they're hormonal. So if you can only imagine.
I'm aware of that.
I'm sure your wife will agree. Yes. We're definitely hormonal people when we're pregnant. Here I am, a pregnant woman trying to run a business and watching her mother, the only family, she has, slowly fade away. And in that time, I remember sitting in the hospital thinking to myself, you should probably just stop. You need to put all your focus on your mom. I kept praying, and I was like, I can't stop. I've built this whole thing. And by the third year, the magazine had become extremely successful. And I'm like, I can't just throw away my success.
You said she was hospitalized. Was that due to the alcoholism?
Yes, it was. She was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver.
Okay. I'll say this, and I guess I get your opinion. There are times when you're crushing it in life. You've got all this stuff going on. And, I don't mean to sound like insensitive with this, but you can look at a deal like that, and alcoholism is a disease, but at times it's viewed as, all right, you don't have to be sick if you could stop drinking. During that time,
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to put myself in your situation. You're young, you're hormonal, you've got all this stuff going on. Was that a struggle that you had?
It was, because I kept thinking to myself, if she would only just stop. I can't tell you how many times she said, I'm going to stop. I'm going to be the best grandmother there ever was. And at the same time, she's still my mom. She really did give me a great life growing up. And I was still sensitive to her and her losing her business. I understood why she was drinking. I think that she had been drinking, so much that eventually the alcohol had just changed her chemical makeup of who she was, because I knew deep down inside I would never get my mom back. She would never be the same person.
Well, I think it's completely natural to think that way. I guess if I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, I think that would have been my mindset.
It's something I struggled with for a while. One day it clicked, and I say this, I give a lot of speeches to kids, motivational, and I say it's not the deck of cards that you're handed, it's how you play them. In that moment, I had to evaluate, how was I going to play these cards that I had been dealt in life? Was I going to become successful and win, or was I just going to fold? And I chose to become successful. So one day, the doctor said, hey, it's either pull the plug or let her go to hospice. At that time, I just said, we just need to let her go peacefully. She's ready. We made peace, and she slowly went away. I had to plan the funeral. I had to speak at the funeral. I'm an only child with no family. So I really had this responsibility on my shoulders.
While she was hospitalized, I mean, it was bad enough. So, I mean, was she unconscious?
At the latter part, yes, she was. Her memory was gone. And, the only thing that kept me really at peace was, one, working out, and two, was being out in the field. Because there's something about being out in a field full of crops by yourself, just you and nature, that really just put me at peace. And it's what really kept me going. And so that gave me even more of a drive to continue the magazine, because I just feel like agriculture is what makes the world go round. And I felt a responsibility to get the farmers' word out there about how hard they work. And I didn't want to let the farmers down, kind of like I had felt left down by my mom. So I wasn't going to let someone down.
Yeah, I totally get that. For people that have built something from nothing, it's hard to describe what you just described, really. It's hard to describe how you don't want to let that go. When other things are happening in your life, you still feel very obligated to keep that going.
Yes, absolutely. It's really hard to put into words. But, when you own something, just like you own your podcast, you make it work. Even if your back's up against a wall, you just make it work if you're passionate about it.
Yeah. So your mom, you lost your mom. I mean, I can't imagine that with all that was going on, because you were still pregnant, right?
Yes, I was still pregnant.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that probably didn't help, did it?
No, it didn't. And that definitely was not the end of the curveballs. I had quite a few curveballs that year.
Okay, what was the next pitch?
So when I was pregnant, they found a cyst on my neck that was the size of a golf ball. And it got to the point where I couldn't even turn my neck. And the doctor had to take it out. Well, the doctor didn't do his job 100% successfully. And so I was left with an open cut in my neck that was so deep, you could almost put 2 fingers all the way down my neck. It was disgusting.
Oh, my goodness.
It was terrible. And I couldn't take any medication for the pain because, again, I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Then about 2 days after my surgery, I had to go see, the baby doctor, the OBGYN, and she told me that my umbilical cord to my son was abnormal and that there were several issues that could happen. And so I had to go the remainder, I think it was like 6 or 7 months of being pregnant, wondering if my child was going to be healthy when he was born.
Mm. This is the first kid, too, which is, oh, man. I do remember
He's
how
going to be the only.
when Emily was with our first one, it was like every single little thing you were just worried about. Yeah, again, this has got to be incredibly stressful.
Yes. Fast forward just a little bit. He's born. He's healthy. Everything's great. Well, then about 10 days after being born, most newborns sleep, I want to say, about 16 hours a day, 16 or 18. My child was only sleeping 8 within a 24-hour period.
Ugh.
So we went to the doctor. We ran some tests. I'm going to sum this up really quickly for you. They told me that his white blood count was really high, and it was continuously elevated. And so they thought that there was a chance that he might have leukemia.
Oh, okay.
So
Whoa. Okay. I mean, at this point, you're just looking up and thinking, why is the world against me?
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. But like I said, I've always known in my mind that someone always has it worse than me, and that the situation could definitely be worse. We just needed to figure out, how to fix it. He did not have leukemia, thank God. He did go through 3 surgeries. We did see the doctor, I can't tell you how many times. You name a sickness, the kid probably had it.
Yeah.
And it all stemmed from the nurse. When she performed a test, she didn't perform the test correctly, so it came back as a false positive. And when it came back as a false positive, they had already injected him with so many antibiotics that he was so young he could never develop an immune system, because antibiotics control, don't quote me on this, but this is from what I was told, your GI system controls 70% of your immune system. Well, he had no GI system because of all the antibiotics. It never allowed him to develop what they call good flora.
I can only imagine, if you get mad at somebody in your life, there's probably at points where you're mad at your mom. You got to be mad at the doctor with the neck. You got to be mad at the doctors with your pregnancy. You got to be mad at this nurse. How do you just not focus on that?
Like I said, going out into a field by yourself and being at one with, a farm or nature and working out is what kept me at peace, and a lot of prayer. And my mom always taught me growing up. My mother was probably one of the most giving people in her better days. I just wasn't going to waste my life getting mad at people when something had already been done. When there's something that I can't control, why waste my energy on being angry? I wanted to focus my energy on continuing my life the way that I wanted my life to go. I know that life isn't perfect. I've seen it throughout my mom's life that things obviously don't go as planned. I was just going to continue on the journey and not let hatred or anger stop me. That's just how I was raised.
Okay. Honestly, it would be very hard for me. That's a compliment to you.
Don't get me wrong. I can get mad, but ask my husband. You don't want to see me mad. So
He's next week's guest, by the way.
Oh, yay. Can't wait.
But you're healthy. The son's healthy. You're moving on, right?
Yes, he's like a cockroach. It's hard to get him. Well, as soon as I say this, he's going to get sick. But
Nah.
Yes, he doesn't catch much anymore. So let's just say after many years of battling illness, we're rocking and rolling. We are healthy and good.
And how old is he?
He is 4.5 now.
Awesome. But this whole time, the magazine, you kept that going.
Kept it going. And obviously started a couple more things on the way.
Yeah, tell me about the TV show.
After the magazine had been established for 7 years now, I wanted to expand. I wanted to, engage myself, get even more busy. And so driving down the highway, had the idea to start Ag on Wheels, which is kind of like a replication of micro dirty jobs, except it's all ag-based.
A lot of people have had that idea. A lot of people have had that idea. But having that idea and implementing that idea are two way different things. How did you actually do it?
Well, I was I wouldn't say model, but they asked my family to take a couple photos for a neighborhood marketing campaign, and I agreed to it. And the photographer that they used and videographer, I fell in love with their work. So as soon as I had the idea, they were the first ones that I called, and they jumped on board immediately. And then I called the TV station and said, hey, I want to air this show. This is what it's going to be like. And I called this station that I used to work at and kind of just fell into place. We went out and we filmed one of the farmers that I had interviewed previously in one of my magazines. And he agreed to be on TV. And we kind of used that as, I guess, our soft launch, our first episode. And it went so well that we just kept going. And we've done 11 episodes now.
You know, kind of being in the business, right? Very new to the business, but I did a ton of research on it. Ton of shows out there, either on TV, on YouTube, or whatever. And I know even shows that spend an incredible amount of money that aren't doing as good of a job as you are doing. Your production, the content, the filming, the video, that is about as professional as you can get. Did you know what you had in the guys that you were working with?
I mean, I didn't know they were that good. It was kind of like hitting a gold mine, really. They're just amazing at what they do. They're easy to work with, and their names are Jason Garza, Omar Diaz, and Aaron Trevino. And, I mean, they all three worked together, and they did an amazing job. They're just like my graphic designers, the backbone of my magazine, Al. You know, these three guys are the backbone to the show. I just go out there and talk. They're the ones that need the praise. They make it happen.
Yeah. And that's originally how I found you, as we were looking for Skype interviews. You know, I'm looking for people. It happened to be the week of the FBN thing. So I was reaching out to people and they were like, no, I can't. We're going to be at the FBN. And I'm just cruising. I'm looking. And that is when you had the video of burning the sugarcane fields. And I'm like, man, this thing is awesome. Like, who did this? Who did this? That thing went everywhere. And then I finally tracked you down, and we basically had a cold interview on the TV show that's coming up in, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. But ever since then, I've been very impressed by all the stuff you're doing.
Thanks. You know, the TV show, it's been a struggle. As you know, finding sponsors for TV shows, it's a little difficult.
What?
So I pretty much...
Come on. Yeah. I mean, they basically line up.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe you found different ones than I did.
Very, very cool. Now, you just recently came out talking about a project called Farmer Who, right?
Yes, this project I'm so proud of. This is probably my heart and soul, just like my magazine. Yeah, this project means a lot to me.
Break it down. Describe it for us.
As you know, as I said, the TV show is struggling just a tidbit financially, and I say that lightly. It was a lot, actually. And so we have a local grower shipper here. You know, they're the people who find stores for the farmer's produce and whatnot to go to. And I sat down and I wanted to pick the owner's brain, and the owner's name is Will Steele. He's a great businessman, and I just kind of wanted some insight. Well, he and his president and VP, Amy Gates and Misty Isasi, we all sat there in a room, all four of us, and we said, how can we still do the TV show but condense it? That way people can still see where their food's coming from. And that's kind of how Farmer Who started. And so what it is, for instance, let's say I go into a grocery store and I pick up an orange. There's always that little sticker on there that has the PLU number. Well, now people will be able just to put their cameras up to a sticker, and it has to have the Farmer Who sticker, which will have my face on it. You're welcome.
Wow.
And they'll be able to put their camera, just open up your camera, no need for an app, no need for anything of that sort. And you just put the camera on the sticker. And as soon as you do that, a video pops up on your phone. You don't have to press any buttons or anything. Just a video pops up with the farmer that grew that exact piece of produce that you're holding. And then we're eventually going to go into meat, dairy, poultry, you name it, we're going to do it.
Okay, here again. I mean, I've heard this concept. I remember Leslie and I interviewing someone on What the Farm talking about blockchain and all this stuff. I mean, this idea is for a person to pick up a product in a grocery store and, have the background of where it came from and that. Having that idea is one thing. To actually implement it, it takes a certain personality. Would it be an understatement to say that you're a type A?
No, I am definitely a type double A, triple A. I don't know. I'm an A for sure.
What's above A? I think you're swinging back to Z.
I just covered the whole spectrum of the alphabet, okay?
So these are not just clips from your TV show. These were specifically made for this Farmer Who project.
Yes, specifically made. And so they're a 1 to 2 minute video because, most men don't have attention spans that last long.
What?
Kidding.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
No, most people's attention span isn't very long. And so I realized with my show being 30 minutes, and I'm just slapping it here on YouTube and on our local channel, I wanted to give people who don't want to watch a 30-minute show an opportunity just to get a basic idea of where their food's coming from. And so that's why we kind of chose a 1 to 2 minute video. That video with that farmer is the fruit that you're holding or the produce that you're holding. They're the ones that grew that. And we kind of just talk about how and all the factors of growing that people might be interested in.
When you describe this could be really big.
Oh, it is big. It's going to be big. I'm going to make it big. I'm driven.
So if I am growing, let's say, oranges, right? And
Okay.
So there was a news story that said that oranges actually hold chemicals or whatever. I'm afraid that when the mom goes into the grocery store, she's going to pick those bastard fruits, the apple, over my oranges just because they're afraid of it. And I want this. I want the people to see me when they're picking an orange. How do they go about connecting with you? How does this all work?
So they just go onto the Farmer Who website, www.farmerwho.com. And there's a button there that says contact us. And then they will just type in their info and then we'll give them a call and we go from there. And we see what we can do for them, and we'll figure everything out. For example, we had a watermelon farmer in Arizona who was interested. So we flew out to Arizona. We did the 1 to 2 minute video. Before we filmed, we realized what he was trying to aim for, what his needs were. We really just wanted to sort of showcase his sustainability and everything that he's doing. Stickers will be printed and slapped on his watermelon in a grocery store near you.
I mean, were you working with the processors at all? Even like the commodity groups. I don't know what the commodity groups are for watermelons, but you would think the Watermelon Association of whatever would want to be involved in this.
Yeah, so this has the potential to work with the farmer directly, the grower, the shipper, the retailer. You can even go into H-E-B, Walmart, Kroger, grocery stores all over. There's all different categories. And so that's why we ask that people fill out their info on the website. It'll get sent to us, and then we set up a phone interview and kind of go from there. But yes, it has the potential for all three, and we've kind of mapped that out, and we're ready to rock and roll. We've kind of done, like I said, our soft launch, and we're going to start hitting the races here next month.
Do you see this as maybe even going more towards the premium stuff? Like, I don't know, Farmer John's watermelons would have an advantage over the other watermelons because the person buying those can see the actual farmer that's growing them and feel better about it?
Yeah, so that's kind of a concept we had too. Pretty sure everyone's familiar with Guy Fieri on the Food Network. If he slaps his sticker on the restaurant window, he's been there, he's approved it. It has to be a good restaurant. So same concept with the Farmer Who sticker is if you see that Farmer Who sticker on there, one, you can be assured that you know who grew your food and how they grew it. And second of all, you can know that it's a premium quality because it got the Farmer Who stamp of approval. Are
you going to put like frost highlights in your hair like him?
I already have them. What are you talking about? I'm a female. I get my hair done often.
During the COVID?
I plead the fifth.
Careful. Yes, you could incriminate yourself. Yeah. When this airs, I'm going to be in down in Nashville to RFD Studios, and I am going to have a fresh haircut, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, let's just say I plead the fifth. I know people. It's nice to know people.
It is nice. Sometimes it's good that you've always tipped well.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, someone commented the other day in my direct messages. They're like, where are you getting your nails done during this? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, I got an idea. It just came to me, and I'll give this to you for free, right? So all the people that are going to be involved in this, you talk about a whole coalition. You could call it the Whoville.
Oh, there you go.
All the Who's down in Whoville.
We should definitely patent that.
You can have it. I'm going to give it to you for free.
Wow. I don't even know what to say.
And
thanks, Rob.
Cindy Lou Who? I mean, I don't think she was more than 2. I mean, she could even be in your Whoville.
She could. Wow. Think of all the opportunities I have with that.
And if you're listening and don't get that reference, I mean, you should probably not listen anymore.
Oh, you know who probably doesn't get it is Farmer Dan. He's so young. He probably doesn't know.
Yeah, that guy. Do you know what's funny is that he can't rent a car. He's too young. Farmer Dan.
No, I don't think he can.
He's fun. He's
Not
fun to
yet.
make fun of. You know what I'm saying?
He is.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, though. He's helped me out a lot. He deserves some praise. Thanks, Dan.
Seriously?
You know, when I very first started my Instagram account, he helped me spread the word. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm only going to say it twice, though, because other than that, then my sarcasticness will kick in. So
I don't care for him myself. He's a good guy. Go back a few podcasts and listen to when I interviewed him, and I totally made fun of him the entire time. I actually enjoyed that interview.
Yeah, he held his own, though. He did pretty good, but that was a very good interview. I liked that a lot. You do a good job.
Getting to know you, you're very open that your faith has helped you get through all of this stuff in your life.
Yes, and the farm. You know, I go out every day, like on my Instagram, and I try to show them everything that we grow down here because the valley is so diverse in agriculture, and people don't realize it. You know, we grow over 40 to 50 different types of vegetables and crops. And while I'm busy doing that for Instagram, it's a good reminder for me of where I've come and where I am now. Always being out on a field has, like I said, my husband farms as well. But just being out in the field it's really reflected to me, and it's extremely important. And I think that that's what it has allowed me to open up and to not be ashamed to tell my past, because everyone comes from somewhere. And it makes you who you are. And so I definitely have agriculture to thank for that. It definitely gave me my confidence back.
Yeah. Well, a lot of this, you're not very old, right?
June 11th, I'll be 34 or 35. I forget. I don't know. I was born in 86.
A damn kid is all you are.
But I like to say I'm an old soul, Rob. I mean, after all I've been through, I think I'm pretty mature for my age.
I was just going to say that, but then you interrupted me.
You're welcome.
You've been through an awful lot in your 34, 35, 46 years, whatever, how old you are. You've been through a lot, and your attitude. I've had a chance to meet you in person, and I had a chance to meet your family. You're very positive. You're very driven. I didn't know any of this stuff. Obviously, it's not the first thing you bring up when you meet somebody. But after knowing this stuff, to me, it explains a lot, because whenever you see someone that's so driven, you kind of wonder what's behind that. And I've always liked interviewing those people, because what I usually find is the things that happened in their childhood as they were young adults, those are the things that have shaped and formed those people to why they just are so driven.
I agree 150% with that statement. And I don't agree with people very often, so you should be thankful.
It must hurt a little bit to agree with me.
It pains me just a little. But in all seriousness, no, you are correct. You're right. I'm very grateful for everything that I've gone through, because like you said, you know, it shapes you into who you are. And I couldn't ask for a better life. You know, it could always be worse. That's my mentality. And I just want to spread joy and kindness and the word of agriculture. That's all I can do.
All over Whoville.
All over Whoville with Cindy Lou.
Everything that you're doing, all the things, being successful at, I mean, is there a support system behind that?
There absolutely is. First of all, God, the big man upstairs, and my husband and my child. You know, they're always willing to put up with my crazy schedule and my craziness in general, and all my friends. I mean, just everyone involved in agriculture has just been a huge support for me. And I can't thank everyone enough, because everyone has had my back and supported me. And so thank you to everyone. And I will continue to do my best to share the hard workers of those who are involved in agriculture, because they're the ones that need the thanks, and they're the ones that need the praise. They're the ones that make the world go round. Yes.
All right, Michelle, if people want to find you on the old social media, where do they go?
So Instagram, it's agmag_STX. And then Facebook, it's the Agmag.
Yeah, what does the STX stand for?
South Texas.
Oh, I got you.
Come on, Rob.
No,
Use that education.
Here's the thing. All right, it's like Illinois. People from Southern Illinois will make you know that they are from Southern Illinois. It must be the same in Texas.
You know, I think Texas is just Texas. It's a proud state. I'm proud to be where I'm from, so I just add South Texas, because we're very unique down here.
Yeah. How far are you from the border?
7 miles.
7
In fact,
miles.
I go out once a week, I guess is when I go out, and I show the progress of the border wall that they're building. And I go down and show farms along the river, all that good stuff.
The wall that we're seeing on TV, I mean, that's going up 7 miles south of you.
Absolutely, it sure is. And I will definitely be sharing the progress with everyone and, how it affects farms and how it's good for farms. And, I stay pretty neutral on the topic, but I want people to see it firsthand.
I imagine the wall down there is like wind turbines here. I can't mention it. Even if I don't say yes or no, I'm in favor or not, you mention it and just people lose their...
Yes, absolutely. You're right. Oh my gosh, you're right again. 2 times. So painful.
All right.
So painful.
Michelle Martin, I mean, I'm glad we met. I'm glad I saw that video of the sugar cane. You're doing some incredible stuff out there, and I'm sure all Texas knows about you, but I think it's only the beginning. I think you're going to be well known very soon.
Well, thanks. One can hope. My main goal is not for fame for me, but it's just to spread the word of agriculture because, like I've said a million times, we've got to show the positive side of agriculture, and that's what I think I'm here to do, is to show that and to highlight that.
Yes, I would definitely agree. Well, Michelle Martin from Texas, thank you very much for being on the podcast. And everybody else, we hope you catch us next time.
And thank you for listening to the Shark Farmer Podcast. I am your host, Rob Sharkey. Please visit us at www.sharkyfarms.com. And just search for Shark Farmer to follow me on Twitter. Later.